We've got an audience for our big reveal. This is HBTV, Holman Boat Television. What do you think, guys?
I think it looks great.
Great expectations?
Awesome.
Oh, here we come. Things can get pretty screwed up if you lose your rudder or something.
Good, it's on wheels.
Yo, Kelly, I gotta say hi. What a transformation. This is really dramatic. Maybe we need to tell people why we were considering a wrap in the first place.
Our Leopard definitely had leopard spots.
Yeah, minor gel coat repairs in St. Martin. It didn't match to begin with, and then the UV faded it differently than the old gel coat, and it just didn't look good. Why not just paint the boat, Megan?
Well, we've been kicking this around for 2 seasons, trying to maybe organize our entire cruising season around a paint job. And finally, it was like, you know what? 2 days, a wrap, and there you go. Let's do that. And
also the expense. I have a really hard time spending money on stuff that is purely cosmetic, and the bids we got ranged from $18,000 to have the sides of the boat painted all the way up to $48,000 for a paint job. So it was the expense and it was also the time. Our neighbors here have been here for 4 months getting a paint job, and we can't do that.
Yeah. So we're going to devote an entire video to the process because so many of you are curious and maybe thinking about doing it yourself.
Yeah, we'll talk about how much everything costs, the process involved, but if you've got any interest in getting your boat wrapped, if you're in Florida or actually anywhere around the world, Burl and his team will travel. Boatwraps.com, we cannot recommend them highly enough. They do what they say, they're fast, and that finish is beautiful.
Yes.
We did pine a bit over this color. Who knew there were so many grays out there, and silvers and charcoals, which in my mind they're all gray. But we finally settled on, what is this?
This is Storm Gray, and it's a light gray. That was the lightest gray they had, and we didn't want to go too dark, so I think we chose right.
And then the pinstripe details, I don't know if it's going to show up in the videos very well, but it's got a little bit of sparkle. Yeah. So we're fairly conservative, but that's as much pizzazz as we get. Only thing I'm really nervous about is getting back out of the travel lift slip, which you saw from the last video is very, very tight. I don't want to screw up this finish. Look at how beautiful it is.
I know, it's gonna be fine.
Part of me is like, make it end, get me the heck out of here. And another part of me is like, oh, another week would be really nice. Things were just going too well. This has been one of our best haul outs, one of our most productive haul outs. We ran into a bit of an issue. When I saw this and brought it to the attention here of the management, they're actually really, really cool. They're gonna fix it at their expense, and the extra lay days they're not gonna charge us for and all that. But a big lesson learned, sometimes you have to be assertive, or a little bit more assertive than I guess I was when they were blocking the boat, because I knew they weren't doing it to spec. They said that it was okay, and I should have insisted that they do it exactly how I want it to be done. The big bummer really is the time lost, but we're gonna take advantage of that time. We're gonna get a few more boat projects done. They're endless, aren't they? And some projects are just done a lot easier when you're on the hard as opposed to out in the water. So we're gonna make the best of it.
All right, in the new setup, we're gonna have 3 different arrays. The first array will have 500.
So we're going to talk a lot more about our brand newfangled solar setup. It's a pretty complicated topic, but we're going to take advantage this time to finish our 3rd solar array. So we're getting rid of 3 265 watt panels and replacing that array with 4 327 watt panels. So between our 3 arrays, we're going to have 2,400 watts of solar. And just like every boat project, it gets a little complicated. Because you can't just add the panels, you've got to support them some way. So what I did is I fabricated my own solar panel support using some of the stainless steel we had for our wind generator and using aluminum L back to back as a support beam. It took a while, a lot of measuring, but it all came together just perfectly. And the result is really sturdy and seaworthy. Well, we've been totally psyched here while we've been hauled out. Really just some super generous souls helping us out with transportation. Kendrick and Bethany lent us their truck for a few days. That was just invaluable for snatching up stuff that we need. And also Ty and Kim on Dauntless, which they just purchased, are in the yard, and Ty has been giving me rides everywhere to buy stuff. So thanks to those guys, but really love the freedom and independence of being able to rock and roll on my own. So I got my trusty steed out, my old Merlin titanium bicycle. Now I'm gonna go run some errands out and about. And by the way, I should have a helmet on. I almost always wear a helmet, but I shipped them back with the other bikes. I may go pick one up here on my ride.
All right, I am headed down to Miami to pick up our life raft from Revere. Just enjoying the air conditioning and some good music with the coffee house. All right, see you down there. We decided to go with Revere for our life raft, and we got the 6-person hard case offshore life raft that has a 12-year warranty, needs to be repacked every 3 years, and we got the great boat show pricing.
Oh, this was fun. It was basically welded on to the fittings. So this is a wet exhaust hose, and this is what comes off the muffler of the engine. What I've noticed over the last few months is the outside was cracking. Now these are actually double walled hoses, and there's 2 sets of wires that go around them. But what's going to happen over time is it's going to develop blisters, and eventually those blisters are going to pop. And it's impossible to see from the outside how bad it is on the inside. But it's a really big problem if you lose your wet exhaust, because those fumes and the water that's hot is just going to spray all over the engine. And there are fixes you can do out in the field to get you home, but probably the biggest problem is finding the right size hose in a foreign country, because it's got to have the corrugation so that it's bendable, it's got to be the right diameter, and it's got to be approved for marine use. So this falls into the better safe than sorry category. Let's do it before it needs to get done. Show you just for comparison what the new hose looks like. This is brand new hose. You don't see any cracking, no blistering, no rust coming off. So hopefully this one goes on a little easier than the last one came off, because the last one, it was basically welded on to the fittings. Something really, really special about clean new hardware. We got brand new G43 spec'd out for our windlass, and you know, comparing this to what we're pulling out of the chain locker, the stuff in the chain locker looks downright dangerous. It's getting jammed up in the windlass, it's getting into knots, it's pretty unworkable chain.
You know you're a cruiser when you cannot wait to get new chain. I can't tell you how excited I was watching that new chain go through our windlass with absolute ease and perfection.
In catamarans, it's pretty easy to drop your rudders and just do a quick little inspection. What we're looking for is for corrosion, where the rudder stock goes into the rudder, and we're not really seeing that. What we are seeing is a little bit of biological growth and a little bit of mineral deposit on the rudder shaft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ferret out just a little bit with some very small grit sandpaper, and then we'll put just a touch of silicone grease on there and push it back up into the bearing. But in inspection, not a bad idea. It's easy to do, and it's peace of mind at the end of the day.
Okay, you're almost there. I'm gonna go make some covers for our fenders now that we have this brand spanking new wrap. So I got some super cheap sweats from Walmart, and I'm gonna cut them up and fit them to the fenders. And now we're headed to the boat show.
Dude, I think so. This is the one that all the cool kids have. One of the considerations with picking out the dinghy, we definitely want an aluminum bottom, but see how AB, they don't paint the bottoms, so keeping paint on an aluminum bottom is really, really difficult. They just skip over it right here. Plus, look at these reinforced patches. The patches on this and the way that the hull connects on to the tubes is super duper reinforced.
And anytime you're traveling, if you have an issue, it doesn't have to be an emergency, you can call, talk to paramedics, physicians. They'll help zero in on what the issue might be. If you need further assessment, we'll help you find the closest point for that. And then if it's determined you need to be evacuated for proper treatment, we arrange and pay for that. And you can elect to come back to the U.S. for treatment. You don't have to, but you can come back to any point in the United States if that's your choice and you're stable enough, of course, to make that journey.
I found my people from the National Hurricane Center. So these are the guys who do the forecast for when the big storms pop up. So the hurricane hunters and all that stuff. Yeah. So this is the real deal people collecting the data from the planes, doing drop-sons, and Eric Christensen, National Hurricane Center.
Yes.
And this is a guy who's, I guess, whose data I'm a big fan of. You've done a lot of forecast discussions.
Yes.
And the data collection and centralization for the forecast all go through these guys. So tell me what you're up to.
Well, so we are committed to getting the best information out to the public as we can, to people at sea. And we're kind of migrating from a more traditional paper type forecast system, you know, with raster charts, etc., to something that's a lot more digital, sort of what's going on with nautical charting. We're going to have that same kind of thing for weather information in the future.
So XML sort of stuff, so that we can
Exactly, yes.
So now we can overlay the data from these guys more easily on our grid forecasting displays, and we can see your forecasted track cones, potential high wind areas.
Correct. Yeah, you can see, same way you're using nautical charts, it will be soon in the future with ECDIS. We're hoping to get weather information involved in that. So we have the latest and greatest right on the bridge of the ship, and keep people out of harm's way as best we can.
I think the new system is going to allow ship reports to come out for maybe smaller vessels who we have some satellite capability, but we don't have a lot of bandwidth.
Right.
Maybe some formatting things where we can just do a really quick and easy ship rep.
There's actually an initiative underway to tap into AIS and get ship reps out quicker, so we have more data from ships at sea. That's something that we're considering also. So yeah, we're thinking about that too.
Well, everybody's always asking us what we think of trimarans, and the truth is that we don't know anything about trimarans at all. So we've seen a couple Neil 45s out in the wild, cruising around the BVIs and around in the Bahamas, and I guess this is their newest model. This is the Neil 47, so we're gonna wait in line and go for a tour.
I've always been curious about the Trimaran. I've never been on one. So it was really fun to see firsthand how this Trimaran is laid out and the concept behind the efficiency and how one AMA lifts out of the water and how you can sail really close to your apparent wind. That all makes sense to me. And you know, you can really feel the wind like you do on a monohull.
So the concept behind the boat is wetted surface area. As the vessel heels, one float lifts out of the water, putting all the pressure on the leeward float. So as the wind presses the float down, lifting the leeward, your wetted surface area reduces, and that's how the boat tracks on the waterfall.
Okay.
Ultimately, you don't have to reef so early, and you can really feel the performance of the boat.
So you can feel it a lot better, and that's one of our complaints for the cats is it's a little bit harder to feel it, so you better be a better sailor before you get on the cat. You can learn it easier, but it's hard to sail a catamaran well.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds.
And it was bigger than I thought. I mean, that aft deck is almost as big as Clarity's. And I also really like the master cabin, the master stateroom on the main
I
level.
love that.
The panoramic view from your pillow.
Because it's just the two of you most of the time.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I like that.
That Seawind though, that stole the show for me. The Seawind 1600.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other videos about it. Do some Googling if you like, but the layout is great. The craftsmanship is fantastic. The sail handling,
The inboard dagger boards.
yeah,
Wow.
flush deck dagger boards.
Yeah, the deck was pretty amazing.
The only downside is I'd have to go back to work for probably a decade or more to afford that thing. And you know how we feel about that.
I know.
Let's go sailing now.
As you know, we're short on time for everything, right?
That's right. Time is the problem.
We can't afford that.
So it was really great to do the meetup and meet everybody and hear everybody's plans, their adventures. Everybody there was shopping for a boat or had a boat and was just about to head out.
There's one couple that's headed out. It's Monosaurus, and they're headed out about the same time to the Bahamas. So I hope we see them.
Cool, cool. And that was really the highlight of the show.
Yeah.
I think was meeting everybody, and you guys are cool.
Yeah,
we love this community.
I know, lucky.
And then we return to a gift.
I know, DJ, you didn't have to do that,
But I'm glad you did.
those chocolate-covered almonds. Ooh.
Oh, I finished half of them already.
And thanks everybody for watching and all your comments and subscriptions. We can't believe how fast it's growing and all the great feedback we're getting. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Probably more techie boat work stuff because of the delay that we have had here. But we'll be back underway and lots of cool new upgrades on Clarity.
Yeah, I can't wait to get on the water.
Talk soon, everybody. Bye.